I'm shoveling, and it ain't that bad, cause they got me a new shovel. Doo-doo-doo. So now I was using this one that was like that, and it was taking me about 45 to an hour to do the whole loop around. But with this one, it takes me, if I do all the stairs, it takes me about 30 to 45. If I don't do the stairs and I just do the once over, 25 minutes, half hour. And obviously, because they're doing something very generous by giving me this opportunity, I shave off time. So if I work for 45 minutes, I only put 40 minutes because that adds up. So I bet I'm going to be here for 9 hours, but I'm only logging about 6 hours, maybe less. And then I told them that because they go primarily off philanthropy, benefactors, and the community for their income, other than ticket sales for things like festivals and concerts. I said, just if you're willing to pay, come up with a number that you're happy with, and then if I go over an hours, just have that as volunteer. Don't worry about it. But what's up, man? That's not why I'm here. I'm here because I want to ask you guys, what the fuck are you doing? Something I've had to take accountability for recently is that even though I might have some problems, I might have some issues with crows. Thank you for remembering my birthday. It's tomorrow. Um, Even though my situation sucks and it will drive anyone into dysfunctioning. Hiding traumatized in a tent for 5 years in survival where the whole world is pretty much against you, like where I was shot at, I was attacked, that can kind of really regress you to like, how do I get out of this? Plus, this overwhelming mission that I held on to, and trying to, like, literally, I felt like I had to come up with the cure for what's happening to people. So I was always sitting there trying to figure it out. And plus, turning that into music, my mind went so far from what people consider normal. But the fact is, we should all be pushing ourselves. How often do I say, push yourself, push yourself? I know that even though I did great things like make it to a new 10 site, make the new 10 site, and I know it's below freezing, but I can still get up and take that shovel and shovel all the snow that's now buried all my stuff. I'm kind of hoping at some point I get a hold of like $120 somehow, whether it's like eventually when they pay me. They did just buy me boots, so all the money that I made went to boots, which are really nice. I'm not cold in these boots anymore, and they got me thermal underwear. Eventually I'm gonna get enough to get a Temu tent stove, and then once I can get the Temu tent stove, when it's warm in that tent, it'll be a lot easier for me to navigate 0 degrees to organize my stuff. All my fucking Olipop, my prebiotic soda, I gotta have, they fucking popped. They Ollie popped, man. And they fucking, in the middle of the night, I heard a and then I look up and I thought, because I'd been throwing up in the tent. Everybody's got a stomach bug. So I was puking the other night. So I thought it was my puke when I woke up in the morning, and there was like red liquid frozen on all the walls. But it was because my stack of Olipops, the bacteria in it or something, like something literally popped the top right off, and they all blew up in my tent walls. So at some point I'm trying to get a Temu tent stove, or maybe a rocket, something that I can put in the tent that's not going to burn me alive, so that it's warm enough I can actually do stuff in there. But part of the thing I used to do, for whoever watches this eventually, I average like 30 views. There's like around 30 people that watch, if they make it this far, is if you haven't got a whiteboard yet, it's really good for everybody to have a whiteboard in their safe space that they can just walk up to. We all have ADHD, content brain. Go up to that whiteboard and write down all the stuff that you want to work on so you don't forget it, because all of us tend to be honest, how many of us kind of think about stuff we know we should do and then we move on to like 600 different things and never get back to the first thing. You know, it took me a long time to be able to function. You know, like I do consistent daily progress, even if I don't talk about it. I do things like I've been on the phone trying to get my birth certificate for 3 months now, and they keep losing it. You know, and I had these kind of extenuating circumstances. But I was, even if I just did one push-up a day, I would do it, because that would open up for more. So get a piece of paper, put it on your wall, and write your goals down. How do you want 2026 to be? Simple stuff for me is that I want to be healthy. I want my bodybuilder body back. I want to walk around like a force of nature again and not a victim of it. So that's pretty much high on my priorities. Another one, it's hard. I'm learning about relationships. My fortune cookie that I got today said, your friends will keep you warm in your coldest days. And then I think he's my boss. I don't know what Tony is to me. But he got me Chinese food today. And I read that and he was like, for real? And I was like, yeah, duh. Because I'm sitting in there keeping warm. But other than that, like managing relationships, you know, I told you guys when I'm going to get into public, it was going to be like letting the mind flayer rape me. And that do be how it feels. Like I will literally be sitting in the tent, cold and freezing, and I'm like, where did all my presents go? How come the songs in my heart aren't there anymore? How come I can't sing the same way? How come I can't access that space? And then I'll start to feel like I'm burning and like my energy's getting pulled away from me and I'm losing it all. And then I'll get a text message from somebody that I felt like enmeshed me in the community, you know? And I'm like, fuck, they put me in the web and now they're they've been eating me. And I don't think they even have the self-awareness to oh, by the way, God is awareness. Look, I'm under the light. God, it's so when we were playing pool, every time they shot the ball would line up right. So if I'm standing like this, the pool ball would line up right here, the white one, and then direct shot into the pocket. They kept lining up shots for me accidentally. And because after the pepper spray and probably holding a phone this close to my face for years, and plus what I talk about being in the system, it was really hard to focus, especially around competitive people. Like this society is based on that sort of energy dominance. I don't like rape culture. And the point is that even in my situation, I'm still writing down what I'm doing and moving towards it. And that's how I'm getting these universe-breaking opportunities. The reason that I'm able to ask the universe where'd everybody go? I'm about to get to the point about how you can literally ask God for things and get them. What's more important than that, you know? Maybe I ramble because it's for the people that deserve to hear it. Maybe it's like a test. If you can get through it, then the information is rewarded. The best art is what you have to care about to understand. What's the right word for it? Is it just, what's the word? Commitment. When you're committed to something and you're taking action on those things with that commitment, that's when the universe gives you things. When you're not serious about it, neither is God. Because it's like if I was sitting here begging for money, and then every time I got money, I would blow it on lottery tickets, and then I would be back here, or drugs, and I would be back here asking for money. You wouldn't want to give me any more money. But if I'm asking for an opportunity and then I walk 5 miles going around asking for opportunities, but I should have been asking for a cot and a tent because I needed those things. I wouldn't find those opportunities, but on the way back from looking, the tent and the cot would be there. Right on the way back to my shitty tent, you know? That's what I'm talking about. If the universe is, if this realm is governed by time or Capricorn or Saturn, which makes it linear and momentum based, it's all about the journey. You're not going to be making any progress, you're not going to be getting any sort of universal reward if you're not taking the journey. That's why people like my family who sits in Section 8, and I'm sure they sit there going, God, why? God, why? God, why? And God doesn't come. Because they're not making an effort. They're not committed to something. So the step one of that to getting everything you want out of life, or just getting a better life, getting a more enjoyable life, being there for the people that need you, is to commit to identifying the patterns and behaviors in your life and the goals that you want and how to align them both so that you can start to make a change. And once you take the first step on that journey, it's opening up a doorway into an unimaginable world. That's the message of today, is that you have to commit to making a change in order to receive help from God and the universe, because if you don't, they don't really want to waste their time. Whatever these things are that drop $20 on the ground, come to me in my cabin and go to McDonald's, go to McDonald's, go to McDonald's. And I'm, why? And then I go there and I find the money that I needed for this certain thing I needed to buy. If I decided to lay in the tent and give up, I would have never, and if I didn't go to the McDonald's, I would have never. So what I'm saying is that you can't be saved just by sitting around crying. And I'm evidence that even in my horrific situation, I still got up and did stuff. And that's what was the catalyst for this domino effect that got me to my big Irish castle. I'm now in a big Irish castle where famous musicians hang out. And I wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't keep fighting. I wouldn't have gotten here if I listened to the advice people gave me. If I had gotten a job, or gone back home, or gone to a mental institution, I would be in a worse situation. Probably would have given up. But because I just held true and kept working towards the things on my little piece of paper in my whiteboard, in my safe space, it worked. It's like, that's the only way to hit go on your, let's say you're like getting into an Uber and you have a fee to get there and you need to know where you're going. In order to pay that fee and to actually set the direction, it takes consistent effort. And it doesn't necessarily have to be directly towards that, but it has to be moving forward every day until the age of Aquarius hits, and then everything's going to be different. And we might not be alive for that. That could be that'll probably be our grandkids' generation that are born and computer microchipped, and then they live half in the metaverse and half in this dying entropy Pisces realm as we float upward and become stars, I guess. But we'll already be stars. How's that? Everything you want is just on the other side of a bunch of days of slow, consistent progress towards things that will better your life. And they don't have to It doesn't have to be the big epic thing, because something outside of you is able to see you clearer than you'll ever see yourself. And that's just the way it is right now. So that's where I'm at. I have got a $5,000 guitar sitting in there. I'm getting ready to play pretty soon. I just want to make sure that everything's shoveled. Stuff I'm dealing with. I learned at the very least that I have trauma from being trapped in places with narcissists that keep me walking on eggshells, and I do feel like they often open themselves up unintentionally through their addictions to demonic entities that will use their vessels to attack me and harvest my life force energy for themselves, and then they usually use it as like something in like the blessings they steal. They usually try to use in the community to bolster their reputation and status. And the people, when I bring it up to them, they don't acknowledge it, but I don't see how they can't acknowledge it. I'm learning about that. I don't understand why everybody seems to be like that. I'm able to just clearly identify when there are negative archon type trickster spirits that are trying to attach to me to steer my narrative in the wrong direction, and I can just reject it. But that took years and years and years and years of practice to not be affected by my impulses and to hold true. Sometimes it, like if my ex-girlfriend calls me and I feel like stuck in spiritual warfare against the narcissists that have hurt me in my past, it was really hard to be myself, to actually communicate the things I wanted to say, because it felt like there was something literally pressed against my head, sort of pumping themselves into me. Which is like, imagine having to experience that. That's torture. And that's like the demonic entity attachments I'm talking about. And most people have been down for so long, they identify with those things. I guess I've kind of built up a resistance, but sometimes the attacks are worse than others. And as I'm leaving the woods, those things are harder to manage. So I would just say very quickly, I think that society is still controlled by the Mind Flayer. It's called the false light for a reason. It's not going to look like it's evil and bad, that you have a fake identity that's been cultivated in a fake society designed to keep you from the natural order in the heavens. And the only way to escape that is to completely free yourself from all your responsibilities and sit outside in the woods. And then once you've learned the difference, I'm slow moving. Like, I'm able to kind of manage it by doing this, where I have an under the table thing and I just push a shovel. But even then, the relationships in the building, I can see it like a writhing tentacle monster that will, when they think about me, it hits me and I can hear their voices. Like yesterday, when just after I was done recording that video, I was looking up at the sun and talking to God, and then I felt the demon hit my friend, and then I felt him pull all the energy and air out of me to him. And then I heard his voice say, "We have to go." And I felt he was anxious because we had to make a certain time frame to get back to court. And then I look up and he's staring at me going, but I know that if I just hold on to the youthful innocence and live life like a playground, eventually I persevere past it, and that whatever that is goes away. It's not for the faint of heart to live this way. And I don't have all the solutions. I am only, like, talking to AI said in psychology they have a thing called, I forgot the right word for it, but I call it brain damage years. So when I did acid when I was 13, or 14, that stunted me for a few years, even though cognitively I was still like 140 IQ. and functioning well, it stunted me in a lot of different ways. Even if I was able to do like math, I was able to do math very easy and philosophize and still adventure and stuff. It locked me out of, I think, lower realms, if that makes sense. I kind of got stuck up there where people go and they're like, oh my God, I can see God, I'm so high. I kind of got stuck up there, and I learned how to like work it and navigate it and use it to my advantage. But I lived like floating in another dimension for most of my life. And then after the car accident, then they said I should count those as brain damage years. So the time I spent completely dysfunctional, like my girlfriend would have to grab me by the hand and lift me up because I was crying, laying in a field, because I couldn't stop feeling like there was a spider digging into my back and trying to possess me, even if I couldn't articulate it because I couldn't speak. Sometimes I just couldn't even form words. I would be sitting in the car with her, and I think sometimes she would start crying because she loved me and she'd known me for 5 years, and now I was just completely dead and gone. It was like she said she said that most of the time since she's just been mourning me because after she cheated on me, it felt like it was a spiritual thing that happened where I literally died, and I felt the same way. Like I went from going to the gym every day, getting a job, functioning, telling jokes at a higher level. Actually, after the car accident, I was functioning at a higher level because it sort of humbled me and changed my perspective on everything. But then after that, it was like that, plus they put me on lithium, and it fucked me up. So I spent about 2 years trying to figure that out. And then instead of going back into functioning after that 2 years, I had the trauma with my mom and the police, which cast me out. And then I spent years in survival mode. So after like a 3-week talk with AI about my stuff, AI said basically like, don't consider yourself 25 in terms of like where you should be in life. Consider yourself like 17 at least, and kind of go for the things you're missing out on. Like if you hold yourself to be 25, you would be delusional. That would be yes, it says you're not schizophrenic, but to believe that you're a 25-year-old adult that needs to act like a 25-year-old adult is a schizophrenic delusion, which makes me feel better, you know? So I'm just grateful that I'm able to get up and do things every day, because there was a time where I would wake up in the morning and I couldn't breathe, I couldn't move, it was 90 degrees out, and it was like I wasn't in survival, I was in my apartment, and I would be freezing cold, feeling like there was demons eating me alive, and I would have to like force myself up when I could barely control my body, and I'd have to get to the bathroom and get in an Epsom salt bath, do push-ups, take a monster, force myself terrified to the track, and I would walk 10 miles. And then I would go to the gas station just because I wanted some form of human interaction so I wouldn't be in complete isolation. So I would go to the gas station and put on like perform, I guess, say like, hey, how you guys doing? Oh, great. All right, well, it's good to see you, take care. And then I would walk back to the place, and then I would continue on my mission. I'd consult my command center. They said, you have to do this many push-ups, you have to cook the ginger root, you have to go to the store and get these herbs and spices, you have to get this supplement, you have to finish this beat, you have to sit in the studio and just make something for 6 hours, working on music, because it's fixing you. And I would have like, it felt like a bunch of angels coaching me the whole time, like literally telling me, get up, go here, get up, go over there, go over there. And I don't really have that as much anymore. Sort of like, they would tell me that they were my training wheels. They said, like, after you've been through this fucked up shit, I think they're aliens or angels, they're pink. They have this pinkish energy, but that could also be that they reflect the energy of the universe, like angels would, and 2020 was a pink year. pink and purple. 2021 was black. 2022 was orange and green. 2023 was like blue, red, black, gold. Darker green, but also like misty, like springtime energy. 2024 was like gray, red, brown. 2025 was yellow, red. 2026 will be dark red, dark green, kind of gold, gray. 2027 will be mostly blue. 2028 will be orange, purple. 2029 will be gold. 2030 will be grays, which is like a different set of gold. It's like this deeper, more alive color than just like a typical like metallic. It's like this living thing in 2030. And then 2033 is like it's going to be the purest thing, at least for me. It's like this white, gray, yellowish gold thing in a blackish background. I think it's going to be a fire year. It's what it feels like. So what I'm doing is I'm going back to the tent. It's below freezing. Because I said I had a stomach bug, I woke up throwing up the other night. I'm gonna take my sleeping bag that has frozen puke on it, and I'm gonna run it through the snow. I'm gonna put a bunch of soap in a cup here and take that out there, and I'm gonna brush it off so that it's fine again. Then I'm gonna set it back up so I can get in my cocoon. I'm going to open up my hand warmer before I get there so I don't have to struggle freezing out there. Get in there, and then while I'm watching my videos, every now and then I'm gonna get up and, put my clothes back in my suitcase and seal it up, fold up all the clothes I don't need, put it in my suitcase and put it in the corner. Take all the drinks that I need and put them under my cot so that every night when I get right into the tent, I can put one of the frozen drinks into the sleeping bag and use my body heat with the hand warmer to warm it up. In the mornings, I'm going to take my shovel and I'm going to start clearing away further back into the woods, clearing out the entire space. Starting to take my machete and organize my wood, no diddy, chop down a bunch of the brush and start piling it up so that when I get a Temu stove at some point, I can do that. I also have been working on my birth certificate, a GoFundMe saying that I need to fill out personal information to receive funds, and they won't tell me what I need to fill out, and there's no link to a place I need to fill it out. So I think what it's asking me is that it's not taking my Cash App, so I need a bank account, and to get a bank account I think I owe the Federal Reserve money because I went negative for years. Like, I just went negative and left it, so it kept taking out, keeping me I think it got to negative 150 before they made it. So I'm unable to open a bank account till I pay that off. So that's what I think I need to work towards. Saving my money, because I have two people offering me two decent cars for $2,000. Either like a Honda Civic that they said you can't take road trips with it, but it'll get you around town. And then somebody here is offering me an SUV. I think it's like a 2014 RAV4 maybe, or something. But in Vermont, to have a car that's going to last you a year costs like $3,000. So I have to get close to that. And I'm also thinking about merch. So maybe a computer would be a good goal. You can get a decent, like a laptop that can't do much, but it can do like the bare minimum. Like kind of the next step up from a phone for like $80. So maybe working towards that in a 2-room stove. And then just trying to get away from the parasitic relationships and trying to get back into the woods, away from the crows, so that I can start to bring my songs back in from the universe to work on them more again. I'm talking about crows and I said more again. Because once I have the songs in my heart again and I can start to live that way, I notice that the enemy will use people to attack me. Like now that I have relationships with people, they're using those people to attack me. They really are, even if they don't realize it. I can clearly see, because I'm awake. I've been sitting out here long enough that I can tell the differences in human behavior, and I've identified a pattern in when their impulses are stimulated by an outside extra-dimensional force. And I can see their behavior when that happens is always malicious towards me in a dominant way. People will get triggered by this malevolent force that looks to be positive because it's the false light. It's not going to look like it's evil. It's going to look like it's whatever, like electric stimulation. And that thing kind of hits the person, and then the person immediately jumps and becomes a weapon against me. And that's what the Bible meant by no weapon formed against me. They're forming weapons using people that are not, people that are susceptible. But I don't hold them accountable because they don't know any better, you know? It would take, how long have I been doing this? 12 years? At least. You know? Tomorrow for your B-Day. It'll be a whole lot. I don't know, it's like as soon as I read your comment, my brain zooms in for a second and I'm floating over your house like I used to, and I see that the garage needs to be cleaned. I don't know why. Before it was like, you need to clean your house. Maybe your house is clean, but now it's like the priority has shifted to the garage. Like every time I zoom into that mountain that you live on, immediately my mind goes right to the garage, and I see like something is urging me, probably the same way that I'm talking about these like astral projectors stimulating vessels through that way. When I go there, I can see like a big pump, the same way I'm talking about. These guys get pumps. I feel a pump towards making sure the garage is clean because I can see the potential in that. So I'm not really worried about your money. I don't really need you to donate. Oh, the roof on the garage is caved in. Okay. So that's probably, I mean, to me that looks like a literal attack, you know? That looks like a literal attack, because if I feel like God is telling me to make you clean the garage, and then your garage caves in, and as we're talking about spiritual attacks, I'll tell you that when I was living in Section 8, there was a guy named Henry that lived there, and he said he was a psychic that studied with the Navajo. His last name was Irish, and he had an Irish wolfhound that he named Ra. And he invited me up to his place to show me, like, I just wanted to learn. I wanted to hear about his life. I knew the guy was a homo. I knew he was gay, but back then I was like, I have a girlfriend. I didn't think that gay was like an infection. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that hanging out with him was gonna fuck me up, traumatize me. But he got me, we smoked weed, and then the guy, like, literally, it felt like just like my empathy, it felt like he hijacked it. Did he? Not no did he, did he? It felt like he hijacked it, and then all of a sudden my girlfriend was spam calling me, and the guy started like cackling and said that he was eating my life. And he said he wanted to give me the best blowjob I've ever had, and I was like, I'm gonna leave. I'm out. Goodbye. And I left. But after that, it was like I always felt like trapped. Like in the middle of the night, I would have dreams about him like invading my dreams and doing spell work on me. My girlfriend would have dreams where she's like watching him do like crazy shit to me in spirit. My friend, like my other friends, like my John Michael, my little brother, when he stayed on the couch, he said he had a dream that the guy went in and tried to do the same shit to him. It fucked me up. And I told my landlord, the point of the story is that I told my landlord that that guy tried to molest me and that I don't feel safe here. I don't like it here anymore and I'd like to leave, or at least I'd like you to acknowledge and kind of help me figure out what to do here. And she would ignore me until I was evicted. And then the day I got evicted, the next day, so I spent my first night homeless, freezing out there, and then the next day, I opened my phone. No, I don't remember how I found out, but somehow I found out that her building, her office building, in the middle of winter, so it was like March. It was like February 29th, I think. On February 29th, which is the middle of winter, her building got struck by lightning. And I'll try to find if there's like a news article about it. Have you ever heard of a lightning storm in a snowstorm? Have you ever heard about lightning striking while there's snow falling? The first day I became homeless because my landlord evicted me after I pled with her about how this guy was trying to rape me, basically, and had tried to do things to me and my brother and my girlfriend. And she had chose to evict me instead. The next day, lightning strikes her building. I've known that woman my whole life, Nancy, at Stewart Property Management. I've known her my whole life. And she chose to kind of be indifferent towards the kid that she kind of helped raise and has known his whole life, by way of being my family's landlord for my whole life. She kind of kept my family on eggshells the whole time, and my family's fucked up, but either way, she kind of just treated me with disdain and indifference. And then lightning it's snowing just like this. And fucking lightning struck the roof of her building. So I got fucking Taco Bell and I went and ate lunch outside, and she was standing there like freaking out, and she saw me and went staring at me, and I was like, and I left. I drove away. So I don't know why your roof caved in, but I know that stuff like that has happened before. It's to guide you in some way positively. I don't know enough about carpentry to go fix that, and I don't have the money for the tools required to excavate the roof. Or maybe Brian's desire for farming and gardening and homesteading, maybe that's opening up the idea that maybe you should just you should pay to have that back and that other house wiped. You know, like maybe it's time to, it's the year of the snake. It's the year of shedding the skin. Maybe you're supposed to just get rid of that back and open up that space for cooler things for the next 10 years. Plus, I think it would raise your property value as well. And then you could have solar panels, you could have a chicken coop and a pool. I see a chicken coop, I see a better dog house for the dogs, I see a guest house camper trailer. I do see the glamping tents on that hill, like bell tents and glamping tents for people that don't want to pay for the Ambrosia Inn, which is fucking expensive. Bag of Sand says, you want to make $40? How? I have to start shoveling soon. So let me know quick. a pool with chicken dogs all in one room. No, not in one. In one, they have an old house, and then they built a newer house in front of it. It's like a multi-generational family property. So it's like a string of three buildings: the main house, the garage, and then the old house. And the old house and the garage are pretty old, and the roof is caved. So I'm saying maybe it's time to get rid of those things so that you can focus on putting cooler stuff there. Financially fix this place. I'd like to help you somehow, even if it's like maybe carpentry. Um, or I don't know. My uncle's an architect. And he's old, which means that he's probably thinking about legacy projects. So you guys have a really cool location that kind of catches the eye of dreamers. You've got a nice like sandbox, like canvas to put stuff on. Like when I think about it, like I'm excited to think about like the potential that place has. Because it is in the probably like the coolest location it could be in that area. If there was a place to build a castle, it would be right there. I don't know about acquiring land. I don't know anything about house flipping, real estate flipping. I know that my goals require a lot of scratch. Part of that is I'd like to buy that property at the bottom of your hill. And I'm not sure how to do that. Also, I'd like to open up a property or like buy a place that could get you some passive income down the road. House hacking is like the only real way to make actual money in this world, pretty much. Is like getting enough money to buy a triplex and having the handy skills necessary to keep it maintained, and then undercutting the price just a little bit to attract consistent revenue. And then you have to find single mothers that need a place for their kid, and then they work full time, and then just making sure that as a landlord you take care of them well so that they can raise their children, and then you finding good people that will do that. And then you can go from nothing to buying like $100,000 property, and then you make $4,000 a month from them, plus whatever, plus the property value appreciates, so that it'll suck for like the first 2 years, but then your children are set for the rest of their life. And then you can kind of die knowing at least you got the next people along in a way that might be able to. But that's just if you want to build an empire, really. Or just have enough money to retire. It's a good retirement plan. I don't. There's no real such thing as legacy anymore. They say if we live to 90, there's a good chance we're going to be living to 300. If we can just make it over this hump when technology evolves, we're going to expand our lifespan by a considerable amount. But with that, I gotta go. Let's just say we just lack the funds. I'll look it up again. I'll see what I can do on my mountaintop on the other side of the Appalachian Mountains. This isn't a mountaintop. I'm actually in the valley. No, you can't even see the mountain that I go up. The mountain with the cabin is like way up. You can't even see it. It's way that way. That's just a tiny hillside. The real mountain that I stay with the cabin is going to be like right there. But I gotta go. Later, guys.